And what are hallucinations?
Please tell me I'm not hallucinating right now.
Senses are being activated.
Nothing stimulates the mind and heart like live theater.
It's a perception of having seen.
I'm having full open eye hallucinations.
Heard.
Did you hear that?
Being touched.
Damn, that felt good.
Tasted.
It's delicious.
Or smell. But it's not really there.
Something smells fishy.
That would be your breath, Robin.
It's all in your mind.
Have you lost your mind?
Your brain is processing all of this information to be real, whereas in actuality, it does not exist.
Don't always believe what you see.
It may look like you may see a person, but that person's not there. That's visual.
If you start hallucinating, good for you.
And then the next one is hearing, and that's the auditory. What's it?
They're out to get you. Someone's out to get you. They're coming for you. Someone's outside the door. Can you?
Yes. Right. That's an auditory hallucination when you actually hear things that don't exist.
Wait, did you hear that? What was that?
And then the next one is olfactory, which is your nose. Smelling.
Did you guys smell that?
And if you smell me again, I'll punch you in the throat.
Now the touching is the tactile or the formication. Now the tactile, where you really believe someone is touching you. Now you get into the realm of sometimes this can become sexual in nature because you really feel that you're being touched in a sexual way.
It's a really good feeling, man.
Like when you go to a certain place, I don't know, if you smell a certain smell, you're going to get memories of something. So then now they smell the smell. So then they feel somebody touching them because they remember. I'm just stretching, but I'm just.
Yes, you are.
I see your face.
Our society is a matrix. It's all an illusion.
Tasting hallucination. The proper word is gustatory hallucination. Well, the hallucination comes in when I believe it tastes good.
But not bad.
And those are hallucinations.
What is your illusion of bliss?
Oh my gosh, listen, you have entered into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We will be right back after these messages. So stick with us, my Urbanites, in the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. Yay. You are entering the Urban Suite with Dr. Lisa LaCon. Let's talk about urban issues plaguing our community.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Let's talk about mental health. All right, so you are back with me in the Urban Suite. And you know what? This is our second year. So was it 2 years ago? No, last year? I can't remember. Anyway, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So for the month of May, I try to have all mental health topics, like specifically talking about mental health. So last week was a rebroadcast of what are delusions. And the week before that, I talked about hallucinations because oftentimes in the urban community, we have a tendency to kind of mix up those two between hallucinations and delusions. Hallucinations. See how I did it? So between hallucinations and delusions, and people kind of put them together to make it sound like hallucinations, but there's no such thing as a hallucination. It's a hallucination or delusion. So tonight in the Urban Suite, I have a wonderful guest. He is a podcaster, and we are going to dig in and dive into thoughts versus feelings. And we're going to have a better understanding if those two are different or not. And if they are different, what makes them different? So after we come back from a word from our sponsor from Blessed Ministries Incorporated, our missing persons, as well as some other ads that we have, we're going to dig into it with our guest, Tajh Hutchins, in the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon. Stay with us. All right, so we are back, and this is our missing person segment. So for everyone that is new to this show, I always do a missing person, and tonight is no exception. So who do we have? We have Miss Danielle Moss. She's been missing since April the 9th, 2023, from Washington, D.C. Listen, that's my hometown. You Washingtonians, I need you to do me a favor. Come on. I need you to look at her picture. Look at that face. Look at that distinctive mark on her chest. She's missing from Washington, D.C., Danielle Moss. She's 30 years old, female. Her complexion is light. Her height, she's 5'6". She's 150 pounds. Her hair color is black. Her hair length is shoulder length. Her eye color is brown. Listen to this. Her location last seen. Danielle was last seen on April 9th on the 2300 block of Q Street in Southeast Washington, D.C. Now, this part is interesting. Danielle left her family's gathering and hasn't been seen or heard from since, and she missed her son's 4th birthday party. Something doesn't seem right. So anyone with information, please contact the Metropolitan Police Department. That telephone number is area code 202-727-9099. Again, that number is 202-727-9099. Or you can contact the Black and Missing Foundation Incorporation at 877-97-BAMFI. So listen, for my Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon, I'm going to repeat those telephone numbers because you cannot see her picture. So if anyone has any information about Danielle Moss, I don't know why I keep saying Danielle Moss, please call 202-727-9099 or BAMFI at 877-97-BAMFI. Listen, let's bring Miss Moss home. Yes, we have a great news. I highlighted Miss Carrie on April the 25th. We put the word out. Now, I can't say she has been found as a result of Urban Twos for Change, but this gives me hope. She has been found safe, thank God. Miss Nevaeh Deshawn Carey found safe from Baltimore, Maryland. Thank God. All right. So both of us are in our 50s.
Yes.
All right. Mm-hmm. Now,
wait a minute.
Yeah,
50.
I am 53.
You look
yes.
amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. And I have 4 children.
Oh, wow.
Oftentimes things happen. So we just had a guest on my show, Dr. Bryce Ratliff. We're talking about colon. Have you had your colonoscopy?
Shout out to Dr. Ratliff. But you know, my mother, she's an old school lady. Mm-hmm. Boy, did you take your colonoscopy yet? I was like, colon, what's my colonoscopy? You know, and I would say no, I didn't take the one, you know, the old school one. I've taken the new one. You take it home by yourself. You know, everybody out there see my finger. You gotta violate the man.
But that's important.
No, yeah,
it's important. It definitely is.
It's important to get violated at 50.
Right. Well,
I'm joking, but this is really important.
It is.
It really is important, and a lot of Black and brown people, we don't really take advantage of going to the doctor. Yep. And men, period, right?
Yep,
we don't go to the doctor as often as we should. Men, we'll tough it out, or we'll try to tough it out until it's too late. I've lost so many friends over the years who tried to tough it out, and you know, they didn't make it.
Right.
You know, from diabetes to stomach cancer to colon cancer to so many different things. So please, men out there, please take care of yourself. Go get yourselves checked out. And speaking of health, right? We are doing in the West Ward of Newark, New Jersey. We are doing a big health festival.
Oh, when?
May 20th, in the West Ward at Donald Payne Technical High School, and we're going to be talking about everything that matters about health, Black and brown health specifically.
All right, so we are back in the Urban Suite. So if you are in the North New Jersey area, May 20th at the Donald Payne Tech High School, I have to say that high school is phenomenal. There is a health festival going on. So they're going to have speeches, conferences, guests, doctors. So check it out. I believe it's no cost to you. It's in the West Ward, and that was Councilman Dupre Kelly, who has been a guest in the Urban Suite on multiple occasions. So we thank him for his public service. So if you are around May 20th, check it out, please, please, please. So back to what we are going to discuss tonight. We're talking about thoughts versus feelings. And is there a difference? So let's bring out our guest, Mr. Tajh Hutchins. Yay!
Hey, how you doing? Ujjayi.
Yes. Hello there. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. You know, I got up, went to the gym, fed my cats, and now I'm here with you,
All right. Awesome. Now you said cats. How many cats do you have?
I have two. One is named Ajna. The other one name is Satori. And then I just got a third one. And his name, I'm still trying to get used to saying. I think it's Mahadra. And that's just the root chakra. Ajna is the third eye chakra, and Satori is the crown chakra.
All right. So I'm not going to get into that because I don't know what that means. But anyway, I was just asking because I know someone that's trying to give away some kittens.
Oh, no, I'm good with 3.
Okay. All right.
Now.
So, So tonight we're talking about thoughts versus feelings. So I invited Tajh on this show as a guest in the Urban Suite. I've been on his podcast several times. We talked about social media, the addiction of social media, as well as some other things relating to that. But I really thought that he would be a wonderful guest to explain the difference, if there is a difference between our thought life and our emotional feeling life. So, Tajh, do you believe that there's a difference between our thoughts and our feelings?
Well, I would like to first start off with saying that I don't believe in anything. It's either you think or you know. Belief is a doubt. And even extending on like feelings, feelings really turns into like the ideology of emotions, and a lot of people don't know what that is. Like, do you know what emotions are?
You asking me?
I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I do. I know what emotions are. I think I do.
Not saying you don't do. I don't want to come off as that type of person. So even with like certain words within the English language, they have an origin, and the word emotion comes from the Latin word from the 12th century called emovia. And even if you look at words within the English dialect, you'll see that some of the words are compound words. Like you have e and motion, and the word emovia means to move out, to remove or to agitate. And when you come towards like the origin of word and understanding that sounds are frequencies and energy is a form of frequency, and that means if everything is energy, then everything is frequency. And when you're using these certain words and they have a certain meaning behind them, they're affecting you in a way. So now when we're using things such as emotions or feelings, right? Emotions or feelings are from a huge personal aspect. They're based off your own perspective because everyone is moved by things differently. Something that may affect you may affect me entirely differently as regards of our feelings. Now, when it comes towards thinking, we're using a form of logic. We call that reality, facing reality of what is actually happening opposed to something that we believe or that we think is happening to us personally. So now when we're using feelings opposed towards actually thinking, we're not actually holding ourselves accountable for our own actions in any aspect of our daily lives, And a good example of that would be me going to a club, right? And I know the club would be crowded, but I wore my best shoes, and then someone accidentally stepped on my shoes. Now it's their fault, but I knew the accountability or the risks that I always have to take when it comes towards being in like a crowded club,
Well, yes, but okay. So you just said something. So one thing that you said, you don't believe in beliefs. You don't believe in anything. So if you go on that premise, maybe when you put those shoes on, maybe you didn't believe anybody was going to step on your shoes.
Right. You doubt it. So belief doesn't necessarily mean it comes off from like you kind of know, you kind of believe in something, because you can't believe and know something at the same exact time. Because when you know something, you know it for sure, and it's going to be a possibility within your reality. You know, if I go to a crowded club and I'm going to be around people that are a bit tipsy or a bit drunk, the chances of my shoes or my best shoes or my white shoes getting stepped on is at a high risk. You know, I'm believing in a situation of not necessarily putting a certain aspect within a situation. Does that make sense?
Say that
So,
again.
for example, I'm putting myself in a situation where my feelings can be evolved. Because if I know that if I don't want my shoes to get dirty and I go to like a crowded club, and they get stepped on, I'm going to be angry about that. You know, I'm thinking with my feelings, right? I'm believing in something that I'm disregarding a situation within my life that is a possibility, you know, or I'm not holding myself accountable for a situation that is highly possible if I'm going somewhere and I want to keep my shoes clean.
So I think that's a good example, because you just said you may be angry. And I think with our feelings, we can be angry, but I think there's a line that we may cross. What do we do with that anger? Do we lash out at that person? Do we keep it inside and, you know, it's going to be bottled up? What do we do with that emotion? Because that emotion, good evening, Jesse. Jesse Burns says, good evening, good evening, good evening. What do
Jay,
you
Jesse.
do with that emotion? Because we are emotional beings. And I think the thing that we have to understand is oftentimes we cannot be moved by our emotions in a sense. So with your scenario, if I wear the shoes, someone steps on my shoes, because I remember back in the day, now I don't know if you remember this, but when I was growing up, that was a thing. Literally, people would get killed if they stepped on someone's shoe, like at a club. Like they would shoot the person that stepped on their shoe, you know, and it's about how do you regulate these feelings, because at the end of the day, we all have these feelings. But you said something key. You said something about beliefs. What is your idea about a belief system?
You can believe anything. You know, if I want to believe that I can fly, I can believe that. You know, if I want to believe that I can stand on water, you know, I can believe that. Now, knowing something is going through the experience and intelligence to know that that X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Opposed to believing something you just kind of believe in because it was either told to you, but you have no actual experience in that situation, you know? So, and that's just like my, you know, pros and cons of belief versus knowing, you know? So now when we follow by feelings, you know, I believe or I feel, even the words that we use to assess how we think, you know, it falls behind something, you know? And when we say, I know, I can actually show you the steps or bring you towards a certain experience or something tangible to show you that, hey, this is the reason why I won't do this, or this is the situation that I would rather not put myself in because of a certain aspect of my life that has happened, you know? And when you're putting forward a intelligence, and the etymology of intelligence meaning to understand a certain aspect in your life, then you're using a certain thought pattern to assess from something that's logical, you know, because it's something that you truly experience, whereas a belief is like, you know, I just believe, you know? Like I can't even give like an actual analogy of belief without it being, you know, getting off subject.
Right. Well, I mean, I think you said it clear enough. Like, I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. I think about it every night and day. Whatever the song. I mean, whatever. But I mean, can we literally fly, no. But I think that belief system can oftentimes be fuel for us to move forward. I think sometimes it can be a positive thing. It's sort of like hope. It's this construct that's not concrete. You can't touch hope. You can't, touch a belief. But sometimes people need that belief system to help move them along the way. Like, say, for instance, when I went, prior to me getting my doctorate, I believed I could do it. I had a belief that I'm going to graduate. I believe I'm going to accomplish this. I believe I'm going to do it. Now, I've never done a dissertation before. I've never been in a PhD program before, but I saw other people do it. And I said to myself, well, if they could do it, I believe I can do it. So I think it goes to what you were saying also, that even though you may not have personally experienced it for yourself, you have witnessed it in other people. So now if you say, you know what, Tommy did it, I believe I can do it too, because Tommy not as smart as me. You know what I'm saying? It can operate like that. And then our thoughts and the belief that we have, I think they kind of go together. And then there's a separate realm, I believe, a separate realm when it comes to our feelings, that emotional realm. Because again, we can get caught up in our feelings. And for me, I like to inform my urbanites that there's a difference between responding versus reacting. And I think oftentimes when we are moved by our feelings, we have a tendency to react to some type of external stimuli, which sometimes we don't really think about. Like the scenario that you said about the shoes. You got these new white sneakers, someone stepped on them, they dirtied up the sneakers. You can be moved by your feelings of I'm angry and punch them. You can be moved by your feelings of anger and kill them. You can be unmoved and kind of think, okay, if I lash out at this person, if I punch this person, if I, stab this person, if I shoot this person, what are the consequences going to be? And then that's where the thought realm comes in. That's just my take.
Right. I want to extend back to what you were saying about your belief in like being in, getting your doctorates and being in school and everything. That's, I would consider that, being a thought process, because you got your bachelor's, right? And you went through a process to get your bachelor's. And that same process is very similar towards getting your PhD. You do the work, you go through the routine, you make sacrifices, you study, and you hand in or submit your work on time. You get the grades that you need to pass, right? In that realm of experience, that you can be a doctor because you had the experience in you to graduate. You know that you can do certain things when it comes towards writing a paper or showing up to class in time, because you've done all of those things. A belief system and hope, it relies on emotion to a certain extent, because now you're hoping. You can't hope for your paper to get an A if you didn't study last night.
Right.
You have to do it. That, hey, if I read and take the time to write my to study for the test or the exam that's happening within 2 weeks, or if I'm paying attention in class, I know that I'm going to have the information to pass my test. Hope can't do that for you. The experience and the work that you put in, that from thinking from a place of honesty and accountability, put you in a situation to say that I know that I'm going to pass this test because I spent the hours. I fought for this moment in time for me to pass the test. You know, and my dad, very, very wise man, he puts me in situations to think all the time because he asks the right questions. And I'm like, damn, I gotta actually go think about that. But my dad knew that, hey, if I don't study, I'm going to fail. He's been in a situation where, you know, he prayed, you know, or he wished, but none of that is reality, because the reality is that he didn't study. So he failed the test. But he made a promise to himself that, hey, I'm going to make sure I study, because that is the reality towards it. And even when it comes back to like the white shoes, right? The reality is that I know that it's going to be crowded in this club. I want to look good. Maybe I should bring some shoes. We could take, but if I'm about to dance and everything, I can put on my other shoes in the bathroom, you know. And it may not be to that extent, or it could just be entirely, I'm going to bring my beat up shoes, and I'm going to have a good time because that's what I'm there for. I'm not there to look good. And you have people that are there to look good, and they know not to be around a whole bunch of people. So now if you're fighting the reality that your shoes may be stepped on, which is actually thinking about the situations that you may put yourself into, and then something happens, you're not being honest about the thought patterns that you have been using. You're assessing with your feelings. You know, it's all personal, because I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to be the best looking person in the club. You know, I want things to be me, because it's about the being the main character in this reality that I think is a movie, you know? And when it comes towards that situation and then something breaks, you know, something that goes entirely against your reality, our feelings get involved. Then you got words like gaslighting, or anger, or, you know, or I'm sorry, I'm really trying to catch up on my vocabulary here.
Don't worry about it.
Sadness, you know, like whatever triggers you, you know, you're putting yourself in a situation that you can control, where you're not controlling your reality, and you're allowing your mind to control you. When you take the moments to allow yourself to control your mind, then certain realities won't exist. And a lot of people don't know this, but emotions is what causes depression. You know, it's about your mind not fitting in your own environment, because life is emotionless. It's going to continue forward. And if you're not prepared for it, you're going to be set in an environment where you're living in disorder. You know, now everything around you is moving forward, and you're stuck in one place because you feel as though that you need to be attached to your emotions, attached to what you think or what you believe is something that you need to live, where life is about evolving and letting go, you know?
And it's about, like you said, evolving and growing. And emotions, they come and go. And go. It's sort of like if you're in a relationship, you know, with someone, or not even relationship, just for instance, your job. Some days you may not feel like going to work. Some days you feel like going to work. Some days you may not like your supervisor. Some days you may like your supervisor. But I think the thing about emotions is that, again, you cannot be controlled by them.
Right.
You know, it's sort of like, I remember I used to have a supervisor, and if I felt controlled by my emotions, I would have slapped her several times. Like, I have to. But some people are reckless. Some people don't really understand how you need to emotionally regulate yourself. Some people cannot regulate their emotions. They go from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds. Like, how would you recommend someone regulate their emotions if they are very heightened from 0 to 100 in 5 seconds?
Me, you know, it's all about, you know, this term that I think about, that I've learned in my throughout my shaman initiation. We talk about barbarism, you know, to be barbaric. And that word basically means, well, the etymology of that word basically means to be foreign, or, you know, foreign, right? And it really put us in a situation to think about what have we done to be led to this situation, you know? And we're human beings, like we're emotional and we're very, very dishonest. Like I find myself being dishonest.
Oh, I can't hear you. You're going out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Alrighty. I find myself being, we're very emotional beings, and I find myself being dishonest at times, you know? And when it comes towards this term barbarism, right? It really puts us in a situation to think, okay, what have I done to lead me to this exact moment, you know? And when you're facing the dualism within the world, the duality within the world, you're really putting yourself to kinda, but not actually see the seen and unseen of the reality. You know, every little moment that puts you in this situation to lead you up to a situation that have triggered you. You know, anything that's triggering you, it's putting your spirit in a situation to recognize, hey, there's always more to change, or always room to change. And you'll sit there and think about, all right, okay, this situation or aspect has led me here. What could have I done differently for me not to quote unquote feel this way or put myself in this predicament? You know, what have I done wrong? You know, and now you're putting yourself in a situation to be honest about why I'm feeling this way and why have I turned into a situation that I probably could have controlled. And a great example about that, a great example for this would be being on time. You know, there's not enough time in a day. And ever since I've just been doing more, I've realized that. And one thing that I have to work on more is waking up on time. You know? Like I always
and waking up on time. How simple is that when you think about it?
I always hit the snooze button, you know, and you know, just from the fact of me not waking up on time, it could ruin my day. I could be in a rush. You know, now the person that's taking their time in front of me, I'm angry because they're moving too fucking slow. Excuse my language, in front of me. You know, but I didn't wake up in time. If I woke up in time, then I wouldn't have to worry about being in a rush because this person in front of me is moving too slow. You know, or if I needed to do something that I've been told 2 weeks in advance to get done, and I'm at work and now the boss is like, hey, where is this? You know, now they're micromanaging everything I do, but I should have had X, Y, and Z done on time for this situation not to happen. And there's always you a part of every situation that you put yourself in, you know?
Oh, say that again. Repeat that.
There's always you in every situation that you put yourself in. And that goes back to the analogy when I said we think that we're the main character of this quote unquote movie that we believe, and I use that word, we are in. Whereas, like every situation we feel emotionally triggered, it's because of you. And the moment that we start thinking about why emotions or why we're feeling triggered about a situation, it starts us to look at every angle of what the reality is in the world, because the reality is the only truth is in the world. A person could believe in anything, but you cannot, you know, neglect reality. And that would be like my aspect of how you can control your emotions. Hold yourself accountable.
I love that. Hold ourselves accountable. And you said something so important, and it's such a simple thing. Waking up on time. Stop hitting the snooze button. Going to sleep at a regular time so you can have the proper rest. These are things that oftentimes it is in our control. Now, sometimes there could be some external things happening, you know, that will prohibit you from going to bed at 9 or 10 o'clock. But for the most part, we can make that decision to say, you know what? I'm turning it off now. It's 10 o'clock, which is very late for me. Everybody knows 9 o'clock is I'm serious because I get up early in the morning. I have a routine. Now my routine has been changed because my dog just passed, but my routine was
Condolences.
oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, and that would start my whole routine for the day. But say, for instance, if I did hit that snooze, you know, I didn't let the dog out. He could mess in the house. Then I'll be upset with him, not with me, but upset with the dog because I didn't hold myself accountable. And I think that's very important to hold ourselves accountable and to really think, okay, in every situation, what could I have
Mm.
done differently to avoid this emotional outburst, you know?
Hmm.
So yeah, so that is it's very important. It's very important. What do you think about this generation of youth?
We aren't um we aren't involved with our families enough, you know?
Mm.
And that stirs up a lot of emotion.
Mm.
Because now we're trying to do things on our own where the lessons are within family. You know,
Mm.
say good morning to your grandmother or ask them questions. And then that goes with like a huge pride aspect in our lives. And I find this within myself all the time. I want to just learn things on our own where I don't have to go through certain lessons, and we become very emotional by it. And then we live by such a social media based life where we think that well, not where we think where instant gratification really makes an impact on how we face reality. We think things just come towards us without work. We think relationships are just supposed to be happy and glam, where those take work, because life again is uncomfortable, it's emotionless, and it's all about evolving. It's about suffering. But even like what I was saying before about like the English dialects, words have been switched over and over and over again towards like the idea of suffering. It doesn't necessarily mean what we think it means. Or even like the word survival. A lot of us think that we shouldn't be surviving, but survival is one of those compound words in a different language, which means more life. And when you're living, with expectations and this modern spirituality way of viewing, they call it manifesting. Even with that, when you're trying to be virtually dynamic within life, there are certain steps you have to go through to achieve a certain goal. And sometimes it is hard, but that's just the biggest test, is like testing your emotions, testing how you think, and testing your intelligence for you to strive within the life you are in. And if you strive to just be a fighter, want more life, want more for the next generations ahead of you, then you'll gain the things then you'll start to see the things that you can gain within life, But, we want things to just come to us, like instantly, which is why some of us may give up easily, or why relationships may not work. And don't get me wrong, everyone has their different subjective situations when it comes to relationships. Even like those, you have the chance to think about what a person is saying and what they're bringing forth to the table, and is this really valuable towards your life? But it's always about the feminist versus the masculine versus the feminine, and all these different situations where it just takes you away from like the actual reality of what is this, who are you,
Right.
why
And
am I in this,
you said something so important about family and being connected. I did a presentation this morning, and one of the speakers said connection means protection.
Right.
And I think, when she said that, because she was talking about youth and mental health when it comes to the youth and the number of youth who are, committing suicide.
Mm.
And it is really growing. And I think it's because of isolation. And that's what it is, isolating ourselves from our loved ones. And I'm not talking about just Zoom, social media, but I'm really talking about that physical connection that social media will never be able to do that. I can't feel you in a sense or touch you through this platform. I can't
Right.
smell you, like you can't smell your grandmother. You can't smell your mother. Like that emotional connectedness, I think, is gone or disintegrating. And as a result of that, I think you said something real key, that because internally we know that there's something missing, and we're going to lash out when someone does something to us because there's a huge void in our life. And it is that connectedness, especially to your loved ones and your family, and with social media. I feel really bad for this generation because, they are a generation that was brought up with a phone in their hand, a generation that was brought up with TikTok, a generation that was brought up with Instagram. And they probably spend more time doing that than with their family.
Mm.
So it's, and then we don't have this, we don't understand how to be regulated by emotions because we're not around people to teach us. It's like, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. So anyway,
Right.
we're going to take a quick break. Mr. Producer, you have something for us. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with closing remarks from Mr. Tajh Hutchins. We'll be right back after these messages. More funny. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then the thing is, it's suited just for you. Whatever you watch, that's what it knows. The algorithm is suited just for Lisa. It's like a fingerprint. Your TikTok is going to be totally different than mine. Yours is going to be totally different. It's a whole, like, oh my gosh, it's incredible. All right, so we are back. So listen, my Urbanites, if you go to my YouTube channel, Urban Twos for Change Network, we have a different look. I have 11,000 subscribers. Yay! Yeah, we're going, we're climbing, we rolling, we strolling. All right. So we have a new look. I am now on LinkedIn, Spotify, Facebook platforms, multiple Facebook platforms. I'm on my personal one. I'm on Urban Twos for Change, Blessed Ministries, Dad. Let's see, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. So I need you to do me a favor. So when you go to Urban Twos for Change Network on YouTube, I need you to subscribe and I need you to join. Please become a member of this channel. And what that means is each month you would be able to give a donation, and 100% of everything that you send will go to Blessed Ministries Incorporated, BMI, the premier workforce development agency in the state of New Jersey. We put people to work. We work with various populations. We work with those under the supervision of parole, probation. We work with adults with disabilities. We work with youth with disabilities to put them in training programs so that they can become employable. So guess what? They will be able to have a career. And this is what we do at BMI. And I thank you, my Urban Knights, for tuning in. I thank you for just being who you are, my Urban Knights, my people like Jesse. Let's see who, Felicia. We have Sam. We have Raquel. We have Roberta. I just want to thank you all for tuning in. So, with that being said, Taj, any last words? Oh, I can't hear.
Really, I'm sorry.
Okay, ahead.
Just really think more, you know? When we put ourselves in certain situations and allow ourselves to just be free, be detached from assessing with our feelings, you'll be surprised of what you can conquer within your life. You know, emotions are going to hold you back at times. We are emotional beings, and I'm not saying be emotionless, but just don't think with them.
Right, and don't be led and inclined and moved, because emotions ebb and flow, ebb and flow. It's it goes, it stops, it goes, it stops, it changes, it fluctuates, and I can't imagine going through life like, oh my gosh, I have to respond to this emotion. I need to respond to that emotion. I need to respond. We would be responding like, oh my gosh, we may not get anything done. So it's like, oh my goodness. So yes. So anyway, Mr. Hutchins, thank you for entering into the Urban Suite. You are now officially an Urbanite. Boom.
Wow.
All right. So thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So listen, my Urbanites, look, I'm telling you, we cannot be moved by our emotions. If I feel angry, what am I going to do with that anger? Am I going to count down and breathe? Because oftentimes, this is the reality. When we are heightened by our emotional realm and we get all flustered, oftentimes we are not allowing oxygen in our brain for us to think correctly. And that's why people say you have to just calm down and breathe. Breathing is so important. Inhale through your nostrils, exhale through your mouth, so that you can, one, get that needed oxygen in your brain so that you can begin to think differently, so that you won't be moved by your emotions. And it's about kind of thinking, okay, how am I going to respond to this? Because I don't want to react. When we react to a situation, that means we are engaging in a behavior without thinking about the consequences of that behavior. When we respond, that means that we are thinking about the consequences of our behavior. And oftentimes, we don't respond, we just react. And once we are reactionary people, that is not good. So it's about taking it down and breathing. And sometimes you may have to do this for at least 15 to 30 seconds so that you can calm your inner self, calm your inner being, so you can have a proper way to respond to whatever that external stimulation is. Sometimes we just have to breathe and not allow our emotions to get the best of us. And then when it comes to thinking, oftentimes we're so caught up in our thoughts that our thoughts can be so faulty, and then our thoughts can trigger that emotional heightened state, because we're just so fixed on these thoughts that could be faulty. So, my urbanites, I want to thank you for entering into the Urban Suite with me, Dr. Lisa LaCon, where you laugh, learn, cry, and grow. We will be back here next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with me, Dr. Lisa. I just want to say wonderful, wonderful show. Thank you, my subscribers, for tuning in. Until next week, God willing, Molly, take us away.